particularly because at that point they'd come out of a sin bin period where Liam Finn had got himself sin binned for interference after a 40-20. But they'd kind of got through that point, and it was 18-6, as I say, at half-time, and it felt like they had a chance, but Fax just kind of put the foot on the throat and didn't really give them a shot in the second half.
Can I ask, from my point of view, how did the three young Wigan forwards who came off the bench for Dewsbury get on?
Well, they weren't. They were dominated up front.
Yeah.
Even Sammy was kind of. He had a couple of good runs. He's a big human being, and that kind of shows at this level. But even so, they were not dominant by any means.
So basically, kind of having a young bench versus Brandon Moore and Dan Fleming, who are quite experienced, worked in Fax's favour. I can see from the scorers, Chester Butler got 2 tries, who you mentioned. James Saltonstall, who I think was on the other side of the pitch to him, grabbed 2 tries as well.
He benefited from a couple of good kicks. One was a kind of a took advantage, where he kicked it out wide, and the other one was kind of a dip over the top in the second half. So yes, Saltonstall kind of was in touch with these kind of halfbacks to get on the bend of 2 tries as well.
Yeah, and Sean Robinson scored his 100th career try in this game as well.
Yeah. So yeah, good win for Halifax.
Okay, let's go on to a game where we know very little about, but it was played in the south of France on Saturday afternoon, and it finished the cup holders Catalans Dragons 62, Doncaster 6. It was only 18-6 at half time, so the Catalans really blew this apart in the second half. Liam Moore was the man on whistle duty. 3,466 was the crowd for this game. If we just run through some of the notable try scoring exploits, so it was Connor Bauer who scored the lone try for Doncaster, but Braden Williamy scored 4 tries. Matt Whitley scored 2 tries. His great season continues. David Mead and Fuad Yaha, so both of those two also grabbed 2 tries. Jason Battieri had a rare try as well, and Tony Gigo also was on the score sheet. Interestingly, it looks like Gigo did most of the goal kicking, although did a lot of goal missing, 6 from 11. Sam Tompkins only had 1 of the kicks at goal. I'm not sure if there was a resting player situation or an injury situation there, because no one's got in touch to tell us about it, unfortunately. Not that surprising, to be completely honest, with a Catalans game that wasn't on TV. But there you go.
But I mean, obviously it was. Yeah, obviously it went 6 apiece, didn't it? Because Doncaster scored, and with it only being 18-6, they didn't disgrace themselves in terms of a performance. Because you would expect them to, the final score isn't a surprise, but the fact that they managed to keep it close for at least the first 40 is definitely to the Dons' credit.
Sam Tompkins picked up a back injury in the around about the middle of sometime in the middle of the first half and left the field that stage. But it just seems like a tight back, and probably one of those things that they can ease through this week with a game where they didn't need to really rush things too much. And Michael McAloran was back in action for the Dragons after a bit of an injury layoff as well, so that's timely for them with the big game at the Camp Nou coming up next weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next game, another Saturday afternoon fixture, and this one maybe is a little bit of a surprise result with Salford hosting Hull Kingston Rovers. 1,842 were there. Chris Kendall was the referee. It was 14-6 to the home side Red Devils at half time, but it finished 32 points to 18 to Hull Kingston Rovers in the end, with a great second half effort from them. At one point they were 16-6 down early stages of the second half, but they stormed through that period and found themselves winning in the end by a comfortable looking margin. There was tries from Inu, Evolds and Wellham for the home side. Linnett, Drinkwater, Vai, Addy and Haraki were the try scorers, with Ryan Shaw also going 6 for 6 for conversions. No, it won't just be conversions, there'll be a penalty in there as well. But 6 for 6 for goals for the Rovers. We had some fan views in on this one.
We did. So Paige says, told Tom before the match that Rovers would get the win. He didn't believe me, but my God, I'm glad they did, as at least it'll make him happy until they take the field again. After that, they'll just be shit.
Tim G Radio said, to the tune of Ozzy's Dream. What's Ozzy's Dream?
I don't know the tune. Sorry, Tim.
So to the tune of a song me and Alan both don't know.
Is it? We're on our way to Wembley. Sheen's knees have gone all trembly. Is that it? Tim will have to tell us next week.
So he says, we're on the way to Wembley. Sheen's knees have gone all trembly. Come on, Rovers. Come on, Rovers.
And finally on this one, Tom Andrews himself gets in touch and says, seems the Sheenius is back from Hogwarts. They may have sent us to Batley, but now we're on the route to Wembley. Salford's last chance of any silverware gone before their team is ripped to bits. Same again at Magic in 2 weeks, please, Rovers. My return to the SLP Airways will be much more amusing if we win there too. Also, Rovers, please sign Craig Hall up now. There you go.
So, yeah, Craig Hall.
A surprise.
Reasonable this season for them. I think if your rallying cry for a significant re-signing is Craig Hall, then your club are at the bottom end of the market. But still, well done to Hull Kingston Rovers in this one. I think you've got to say that it was a surprise, wasn't it? Because they've been in horrible form. They've been basically on the slide, and Salford have been a team that I guess we've all enjoyed in patches this year, but Ian Watson's post-match comments are possibly the most interesting thing out of this game. I don't know what you think. I don't know if you've seen about this, but
no, I haven't. But go on, please tell us.
He was asked about obviously all the players that are being touted around to other clubs. 6 or 7 players look likely to be leaving the Red Devils at least. At the end of this year, with players off contract being looking for more secure deals where they might get more money at a club with more spending power. And he was asked about that, and he certainly had quite a lot of words to say about how it is an unsettling thing. He isn't a fan of this period of the season, and why does this come in so early in the season? It disrupts the flow of a team in the season. I think if he wants it later in the season, it's just going to be even more disruptive around bigger games. That would be my response to that, and the players want to get their futures sorted out, and I think it's a good thing that the RFL give the opportunity for players to be aware of their futures and get them sorted out as early as possible. I think that's a positive, but I think obviously Ian Watson is finding himself under pressure because he's facing losing 2 of his best players for no fault of his own, because Ian Watson is a fantastic up-and-coming coach.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we obviously he talks about the short as a potential candidate to get a bigger job. I think this is it's a function, isn't it, of if you sign short-term deals. If you're signing players to a year or even 2, a fair percentage of that time is going to be spent in contract speculation.
I also think there's a situation there with Salford that maybe all they could do is get short-term deals with.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
Like
it's an economic reality for them, unfortunately. Yeah. Which is, it speaks to their, as you say, their financial circumstances. So it is difficult. It is difficult for them, and I have an element of sympathy, but it is one of those. It's one of those sad
like
realities.
You were a team that was on their day sort of team this year, and that's why you sort of thought in the cup maybe was a shout, but not to be.
No, I mean they haven't done particularly well at home this year, have they?
No, that is a fair point. They've only won twice at home. I think London. Did they play London early doors at home? And last week they won at home, didn't they?
Yeah. Well,
but Wigan and Leeds have both beaten them. Oh, they beat Leeds last week, but Wigan and Leeds have both beaten them on their home matches.
Yeah. God, if Leeds are beating you, then you're in big trouble, aren't you?
Well, let's move on to Leeds and let's see if they are in big trouble, because maybe the most celebrated and discussed game of the weekend was on Saturday afternoon in front of the BBC cameras at a full Odsal with, well, a fuller than it's been for some time Odsal with 10,256 there. Ben Failer was the referee. The half-time score saw the Bradford Bulls leading their arch enemies 22 points to 14, and they were able to hang on with the Bulls to a 24-22 scoreline to beat the Leeds Rhinos in the Challenge Cup and progress at the expense of their hapless rivals.
Yeah, so let's before we get into gloating mode, let's see what everyone else has to say on it. Cutthroat Jake says, "What a great result! Even though we were leading 6-12 at half time, who would have thought we could move into a higher gear in the second half to score 40 more unanswered points? It's fantastic to see Leeds Rhinos play with such skill and passion. How I wish our first team would play like these under-19s."
And he gave a more honest review. Well, not more honest, but more related to this actual game. Did Cutthroat Jake? He said, "When Sutcliffe hit the post, where's Jordan Tansey when you need him?"
Standing offside, that's where Jordan Tansey is.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think even Jordan Tansey's heroics would have managed to pull it off from a missed conversion attempt. But yeah, it was the width of a post that separated the sides. That's something to remember.
Yes, but I could confidently play Leeds forever and not expect them to kick a drop goal. And Fat Boy Rob says, "Open GIFs or GIFs, whatever your preference is. Search for Nelson Muntz. Send." Ha ha.
That's one for the Simpsons fans out there. This one is one for Rob. He'll enjoy this one. So we got contacted by someone called Fucking Pissed Off, who said, "What a fucking bag of shite that was. If Sinfield is the stupid twat who decided Lilley is surplus to requirements, then come Monday he can fuck off. If it was Hetherington, then he should be retired due to ill health, as such a moronic idea must be proof of the onset of his dementia. That was fucking diabolical performance." Wow. No words minced there.
No, absolutely not. And Gary's got in touch. I'm assuming it's Gary Hetherington. He sounds himself Gary H, but if only I'd waited, I could have blamed David and sat him this week instead. If only I'd waited to tell Jordan we weren't keeping him on. Yeah, that was just a brilliant piece of timing. Congratulations, lads. That's genius.
Well, Jordan got in touch later on, but Genghis Campbell said plucky underdogs Leeds gave it their best shot, but ultimately the bigger and better run club won. Better run club, Bradford Bulls? Wow.
Oh, man. Blimey, that also hasn't been said in about 15 years.
Well, it was said begrudgingly with that fucking rent-a-gob running him. But anyway.
Yes. James Schofield says, "It's the Challenge Cup and no one should be counted out. Props to Bradford. But fuck me, this is the worst I've seen Leeds at. You cannot pinpoint the blame, as it's the club as a whole at this point. Cannot tell what will change. If anyone knows Doc Brown, ask him if he can lend his car."
Jordan Lilley got in touch, apparently, just to say, ha 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 ha. So he enjoyed it.
Yeah, and he also sent a frog cup of tea as well, in one of his replies, which was beautiful.
What's that? That one completely went over my head.
Okay, it's a Kermit the Frog meme. It's kind of I'm not, that's your business. I'm not listening to you type. I'm just having a cup of tea.
Okay, I think I've seen the meme. Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you now.
It was quite an oblique reference, so I'll give him that. Carsten got in touch and said, "Oh, what a finish! Give me this every day." Jordan Lilley with a perfect afternoon, and the atmosphere sounded fantastic. I love the Challenge Cup and a good underdog story.
Mark Butler said, I was once unsuccessful in a job interview when there were no other candidates. That's probably not as bad as Richard Agar's job interview, though. The worrying thing for Leeds is they didn't look like a better team having a clown car of a day, but just a workaday outfit without lots more to offer, and Bradford could feasibly have settled this earlier with better care of the ball. How are Leeds getting it so wrong?
Mark W says, not the most skillful game, but an entertaining one and exactly what the Challenge Cup should be. End-to-end stuff.